Gotta love our band. Can I get some vocals?
Good morning. There we go. Okay, thank you, babe.
for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley. It's so beautiful to see you all here today. So our theme this particular month of May is Raise Your Voice with an Open Heart. Raise your voice. You know, I have never heard Dr. Alice scream or shout or misbehave at all. I'm pretty interested. See how this goes, you guys? I actually think it's probably something more about our authentic hearts and our authentic hearts and speaking our authentic voice. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that. And if you're here for the very first time, we want to just welcome you and let you know that we are a trans-denominational center welcoming no matter where you are on your spiritual path. We're delighted that you're here with us this morning, so thank you. And we are going to start this morning with our opening ritual, lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium in the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths as the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as our practitioner for the day, Bonnie Chartney, lights the last candle, let it represent the path which brought you here this morning. And we'll be taking 2 minutes of sacred silence together now.
as we are together in this sacred space, I invite you to leave at the door any unsettlement, for we are here as beings of love, serenity, and progress. And these are the qualities of the Divine One that is ever present, always with each and every one of us. This serenity, this love, this progress descends and emanates from each of us as we move through this time of creativity, this time of moving forward, of creating a new home, knowing that we are always supported by the Divine One, and that all works in perfect right action to bring us forward in our evolution. I give great thanks and claim as the good for each and every one of us this love, this evolving perfection, and this good that the divine has available for each and every one of us. I release this to the law, knowing that it is already done. And please join me in anchoring it by saying, and so it is. Please join me in reciting our global vision. And as you see, we have our IT people fixing it on the board. I can do a response and call if I need to do that, because I have it up here. Okay, repeat after me. We see a world that works for all, where humanity discovers its personal creative power, where we live as one global family, where communities are involved in meaningful service to the world, where there is peace, harmony, and justice for all. And so it is. Our affirmation for today. I confidently speak my truth and advocate for myself with clarity and strength, and so it is.
And now get ready for Alan Dell. Let's give him some love.
So as an advocate for ourselves and for each one of you, we've written this song, and it's called The Light in Me.
There isn't anything you can do to make the God in me not love you. There's nothing you can say to cause spirit in me to turn away.
spiritual home. I won't call it our new spiritual home because we are on the move. We are in our transitional space, and we are so grateful to be so warmly welcomed by the San Clemente. If you were here last week, you were able to enjoy the Soul Journey experience that the Baha'i community does every couple of months. The next one, mark your calendar, but we'll remind you of just the same, will be June 8th. So we'll continue to meet with you here in this beautiful space every Sunday morning, and then occasionally, every couple of months, the Baha'i community, in collaboration with our music program, will do a soul journey experience with you. And I really encourage you to come and experience it for yourself, because it was deep and it was leaking a little bit on my eyes. And it was really moving. We are doing an annual theme, a beautiful annual theme that continues to be in our Science of Mind magazine. If you're familiar with the Science of Mind magazine, it follows the themes that we do each month. And just a plug, even though we don't have a bookstore, we do have magazines for sale right in the lobby there. You can find it. It's kind of a self-serve situation. You pick up a magazine, leave the cost in the little box, and you'll still be able to enjoy this amazing publication. And the May's theme is raise your voice. And then I added with an open heart. And I'll explain a little bit as I move forward about why I felt like I needed to add that with an open heart. And today's talk is Confidence Unleashed, Self-Love Expressed as Self-Advocacy. Self-love expressed as self-advocacy. Now that's a mouthful, I know. I want to explore today the deeply spiritual practice of loving ourselves, and I know that if you're like me and you were brought up in a kind of cultural situation where maybe the people who were bringing you up were not that enamored with the idea of self-love, of thinking of yourself, because they might have thought about the extreme of that, which of course is arrogance, or thinking too much of ourselves. There's a great saying in one of the support groups that I belong to that says, I'm not much, but I'm all I think about. And that's not the kind of self-love that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the deep self-love where we come to a place of recognizing ourselves as spirit in form. When we can begin to see that self-love is not only a sacred act, but the gateway to spiritual confidence. And from this confidence emerges a courageous, authentic self-advocacy. When we love ourselves as divine expressions, we begin to stand up for ourselves. We begin to speak for ourselves. We begin to live from an alignment of truth. And as I was looking at this topic, as I have been doing all year, I'd like to see where it aligns with our declarations of principle. In the Science of Mind magazine, you'll find it in the, now these are dual month issues. So you have May here, June here. So in the beginning, in the May issue, where you just open it up and you'll see the declarations of principle. These declarations of principle were first published in the 1920s when someone asked our founder, Ernest Holmes, what exactly does Science of Mind stand for? So we made these beautiful declarations, and the one that really jumped out at me as I was looking at this topic was that we believe in an individualization of spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit. And I want to add to that, and there are no exceptions. Think about that for a minute. We are all expressions of God. And there are no exceptions to that. Now, if you have a dear one that you're not in agreement with, or you have held a grudge with, or held a grudge against you, that might be a little bit hard to swallow. But it reminds us that in this human experience that we have day to day, that there is something larger that is inhabited and it lives within us, and that lives within each and every emanation of spirit. Each and every human being, each and every life form is an expression of the divine. Now, as I look at this idea of confidence unleashed, I'm going to try to bring us through a couple of big ideas around it. One is that understanding self-love is simply spiritual recognition in ourselves first, so that we see with the eyes of love. The second point I want to talk about today is that spiritual confidence comes from trusting ourselves and the divine. And the third point is that self-advocacy grounded in self-love leads us to aligned action. And Ernest Holmes has this great quote that I'm going to share with you this morning. He writes, "Love is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation." So when we look at this idea of self-love in terms of this philosophy, the science of mind philosophy, we're not talking about egoism or narcissism. We're acknowledging our divine birthright, our divine origin. Excuse me for 1 minute. We're realizing that at the heart of each one of us is spirit, and that it is expressing perfectly, absolutely perfectly. You may not recognize it because it doesn't look like you, but everywhere you look is God expressing itself in the most perfect and divine way.
Yes.
And when we begin to understand that, we begin to understand that God so loves the universe, so loves life, that it gives it all these amazing expressions. But they all come from that same divine spark of love. And so for us not to drop into this place of deep self-love is not honoring what God has so beautifully created. I love it when I am talking to my sister, and I talk to my sister a lot. We're very close. And once in a while, I'll be beating myself up about something, and she'll say that she'll interrupt me, and she'll say, "Don't talk about my sister." Wouldn't it be great if we're with a friend, right? And because you will, we all do it, right? We make mistakes, we stumble, we find places where we didn't perform the way we thought we should, and we start to beat ourselves up. Wouldn't it be great if we took it upon ourselves to just really reflect back to that person? Stop talking about my friend that way, right? We can help each other stay in accountability of recognizing the divine. It's just human nature. We want to recognize the divine everywhere out here. And sometimes the last place we go to see the divine is right here in ourselves. And so when we look at this idea of self-love and how it is expressed in us, it is the opportunity for us to really, when we recognize that we might be moving into self-criticism, shift into self-compassion. Treat yourself as if you were God in form, because you are. You are absolutely God expressing itself in a perfect way. So having self-compassion for yourself is having compassion for God, having compassion for God's expression. One of the ways that we can begin to really embody a deeper sense of self-love is to do things like mirror work. Now, mirror work, you may be familiar with it. There was an amazing woman who was found religious science when she was in her 40s, and her name was Louise Hay. Some of you might be familiar with Louise Hay and her affirmations. And she came up in circumstances that caused her to not see her own worthiness. And she found this philosophy, and she embraced this idea that the divine lived within her and was her expression. And she found herself with a cancer diagnosis, and she began to look for ways to apply this practice, this philosophy, and she did something that she called mirror work. And that was to look in the mirror and to say loving affirmations to herself. To say things like, "You're beautiful. I love you." And so that type of mirror work is no stranger to the veteran student of Centers for Spiritual Living. But if we think about mirror work, it's more than just parroting affirmations to ourselves. It's self-reflection. It's beginning to turn our view back on ourselves and to look at where we are with the situation. Self-reflection for me comes in really handy when I'm triggered, right? When things are happening and I'm getting a little upset and I'm beginning to do a little finger pointing. I mean, it's rare, but it's rare. But when I begin to look outside of myself for the cause of the condition that I'm experiencing, self-reflection gives me an opportunity to come back within myself to see what it is that wants to have some clarity, some healing, some revealing. And that doesn't mean that I don't have situations that come up where I was not the, I'll say, secondary cause of the situation. So I'm not suggesting that if you're, driving down the road and you're doing the speed limit and you're driving carefully and somebody like rams into the back of your car, I'm not suggesting that you do some self-reflection to see where you were responsible for that. Kathy Ann Lewis, a great teacher in our movement, likes to say that everything we experience through 4 vehicles. We either create it, promote it, allow it, or we step in it. And when we step in it, it's an opportunity to go back into that cycle of looking at what we want to create, allow, and promote. So that we're always in this place of agency, even when things happen that seem to come out of left field or don't even know where, how this is happening to me. I've never said those words. You may have. But we all have those experiences, and so this practice of self-love creates a beautiful, healthy landscape within ourselves so that when we are experiencing life, when life is happening on life's terms, when things are not necessarily going our way, we can, or even if there's something that we're really passionate about, something we want to see changed in the world, self-love is the place to start. Because when we are grounded in self-love, when we are grounded in that place of knowing that it is all God, that there is divinity everywhere we look, especially in the mirror, we can ground ourselves in that healthy place. That's when we can act in alignment with the deeper truth. I was also thinking about this idea of, did I already talk about that? I think I did. This idea of spiritual confidence, right? Spiritual confidence. I think those aren't 2 words you put together regularly in your day-to-day speech. But when we look at this idea of spiritual confidence, it's about working with spiritual laws. When there are spiritual laws, just like there are physical laws. There's the law of gravity. If I drop this microphone, it'll fall to the ground. If I knock over one of these candles, something terrible could happen. Gravity takes over and things fall down. We have spiritual laws that we're working with as well. And when we acquaint ourselves with those spiritual laws, we begin to understand what is happening and how spirit is always expressing itself through life, then we can have a sense of spiritual confidence. Holmes wrote this, Ernest Holmes, "There is a power for good in the universe greater than you, and you can use it." And then I love the quote from Rumi that also expresses this idea of trusting universal law and knowing that you're part of it. He wrote or said, and was transcribed, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." You hear that quote a lot. It reminds us that there is God stuff moving through us all the time in everything we experience. And so spiritual confidence is not bravado or arrogance. It's the place where we know this highest truth about God and how it expresses in our lives and around us. And yet we have this, I have this human experience. I won't speak for you, but I have this human experience that sometimes I project. And that's when I want to bring back that mirror practice of self-reflection. I read recently something that Richard Rohr wrote that I want to share with you. He says, we project our anxiety elsewhere and misdiagnose the real problem, exchanging it for smaller and seemingly more manageable problems. You know, thinking we can control conditions, like make people do things and you know, manage things and organize things. I don't know about you, but when I feel in control, that's often, for me, a sign that I'm needing to feel safe. Right? So he's talking, Richard Rohr is reminding us that that's the misdiagnosis of the real problem. And he goes on to say, and I love this line, the over-defended ego always sees, hates, and attacks in other people its own faults. I'm going to read that again, because that is a really big idea. The over-defended ego always sees, hates, and attacks in other people its own faults. Right. And so when we are in a defensive mode, it is my least favorite place to be, and I land there more often than I would like to admit. And it's often a place where I am just trying to not take responsibility for something, or I want it to be your fault, or I want you to handle it. And so we have this opportunity when we're doing this self-reflection to be able to pause, right? Look around us, recognize, do that self-reflection to recognize that we might not be loving of ourselves at the moment. You know, when we are in this place of self-love, you know, and I've shared this before, my mama used to tell me, we moved around a lot and I was always struggling to make friends. And my mama would say to me, well, honey, if you want people to like you, you have to like yourself. And that was like a seed that she planted in me as a very young child, that in order for me to see a loving world, I had to be steeped in self-love first. I had to begin to allow that self-love to be the lens that I looked out in the world at, so that I could begin to see the world in alignment as opposed to through my triggers and the things that were scaring me through fear or projections. And so self-love gives us this opportunity to clear the channels for confidence, spiritual confidence to flow. And self-love allows us to stop playing small. To stop playing small. A lot of us do that. We diminish ourselves. We think we need to play small. We think we need to, not take up too much room, or not, avoid conflict, or avoid those difficult conversations. But when we are grounded in self-love, even difficult conversations have more grace. Because I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm completely grounded in my own truth. We have a lot of people trying to convince each other of things in the world right now. And my guess is that the loudest voices that are complaining and projecting and just downright making a lot of noise, raising their voice, but maybe not with an open heart. And that's why I added that, because when we can open our heart and we can really ground ourselves self-love, we can begin to step into that place of self-advocacy. And when we begin to see ourselves as love, and we begin to express through the means of self-love out into the world, well, that aligned truth of love can't help but be impacted with all our relationships and everything that we do. It's not just speaking up for yourself when you're grounded in self-love and you are doing the practice of self-advocacy. It's not just speaking up for yourself, it is speaking up for the divine. It is living from a truth of who you are and who you came to be, and it's honoring your needs, your path, and your soul's calling, which is bigger than any egoic need or idea that you can think of. And when we come to this place of spiritual confidence, it's an opportunity for us to really choose nurturing environments and nourishing our spirit and setting boundaries without guilt, learning to say no with grace. Anybody else need to learn how to do that? Somebody shared an idea with me one night, and instead of just saying, no, I'm not really ready for that, I had this like whole big McGiffin that I had to share with them. Right? And I wasn't grounded in self-love, I was grounded in self-pity. I have too much to do. Right? And so self-love, being grounded in self-love and self-advocacy allow us to really set healthy boundaries for ourselves. And leaving situations even that are no longer supporting our spirit. Those are really important skill sets to use to step into that place of self-love. And so in daily practice, I invite you to maybe sit quietly and then try the Louise Hay method of speaking your affirmations out loud. Speak them into a mirror. Say loving things about yourself. Remember who you are. Remember who you are, because we forget all the time how amazing each one of us is. You could journal. That's another practice that you could do of journaling, and I would offer this prompt. Where am I not advocating for myself, and what spiritual truth must I embrace to do so? Where am I not advocating for myself, and what spiritual truth must I embrace to do so? Ernest Holmes, the last quote I'll share with you from Ernest Holmes, he wrote, "The spirit within me is God, and that spirit is perfect, whole, and complete." That spirit is, so if the spirit within each one of us is God and it's whole, perfect, and complete, what does that make you?
All perfect and complete.
Right. And if you have trouble with perfection or wholeness, just try completeness. Or if you have trouble with completeness, try wholeness. Use the words that will land within you so that you can remember this deep truth about your own divinity. Because self-love opens our heart, it gives us and empowers us with spiritual confidence, and it gives us the ability to advocate for ourselves, and eventually we may want to advocate for others. But not from a place of duality, but from a place of centeredness and oneness. You are not here to play small. You are here to be fully alive, fully divine, fully you. When I was bringing this all together, I was reminded of that beautiful, beautiful quote that is sometimes attributed to Mandela, but it's Marianne Williamson who wrote it, and I'm going to read the whole thing for you, and I want you to take it in. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. We were born to make manifest the glory of the divine is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Yeah. Very, very powerful quote. We are not here to play small. We are here to be the divine in expression. And sometimes we just got to get out of the way. We got to do the practices that remind us that we are worthy of every ounce of love we have the capacity to give. And we can give all that love to ourselves. It's easy to give it to others. We are not even confident, even if you love one color and I love the other color. If we seem to be on opposite ends of the continuum, the truth is that we are both divine expressing imperfection. So repeat after me. I am love.
I am love.
I am light.
I am light.
I am power.
I am power.
I am worthy of
I am worthy of
my divine inheritance.
my divine inheritance.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. So I'll do an affirmative prayer. This is your opportunity to open your minds and hearts, to accept this prayer as your own, to take whatever wisdom is going to serve you this week. So I invite you to close your eyes as I speak this word on your behalf. And I speak it in the first person. I know with absolute confidence that God is good. I know without a shadow of a doubt, without an inkling of a doubt, that life is good. I trust that this beautiful, creative life force that created the stars and the flowers and the beauty, the ocean and the mountains, also created me. And as I see the beauty around me and the world, I know that it is a reflection of me. And so I reflect back this divine inheritance, which is mine. To be loved, to be light, to express all the sacred and divine perfection that is within me in every encounter I have. And if I forget, I know that Spirit will gently nudge me, remind me. I will remind myself that there is indeed a power for good in the universe, greater than me, and always available to me. For it lives within me and all around me. And so I draw on this power daily. I trust this highest truth, that God is love, that love creates, that love created me, and everything I touch and see and feel and hear and sense. And that this world we live in was meant to be a loving world. And so I do my part by loving myself and thereby loving all of creation. It is with an open heart that I raise my voice and speak my word, standing in truth. And with a grateful and surrendered heart, I simply let this go, for I know it's true. And together we say,
And so it is.
and so now, friends, let's bring back our wonderful Alan Dale. Let's bring him in.
I've always believed in self-advocacy because where would I keep my books? Well, truth is, the divine is our daddy and our mommy and our sister and our brother and our teacher and our true love. And that makes us one great big dysfunctional family. If we weren't dysfunctional, why would we need forgiveness? So we are all of the one light.
We are the daughters and sons of the infinite. We are the dreamers of eternal life, loving and living and giving and laughing. We are the sons and the daughters of the one life.
Well, if you look around you, what do you see? If it's not good, tell me how can it be that I am in you and you are in me? Truth is the power that makes reality. Know that mankind is a vanity. And you see, we are the daughters and sons of the infinite. We are the dreamers of eternal life, loving and living and giving and laughing. We are the sons and the daughters of the one life. Regressive aggression, persistent resistance are some of the things that we put in our way to talk ourselves into a separate existence. Faith is the power that blows it all away. It's time to return to your family. Don't you see? We are the daughters and sons of the infinite. We are the dreamers of eternal life, loving and living and giving and laughing. We are the sons and the daughters of the one life. There is no turning back, there is no leaving. Open acceptance and thankful receiving. For sooner or later, you end up believing.
Love is the power that makes it all make sense. Welcome back into the family. Now you see, we are the daughters and sons of the infinite. We are the dreamers of eternal life, loving and living and giving and laughing. We are the sons and the daughters. We are the daughters and sons of the infinite. We are the dreamers of eternal life, loving and living and giving and laughing. All are the sons and the daughters of the one life.
Come on, raise your voice, raise your voice up and down. And our band, what about our songbirds? We love our songbirds, don't we? That was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It is time for our conscious, committed giving. And before I invite our ushers to come up, did everybody get an envelope when they walked in? We're learning how to do things a little bit different. If you haven't, you want to raise your hand and our ushers will bring it to you. Thank you. If our ushers can come up, please. This is the time where we get to give back to where we've been fed. This is soul food that we received today, and this is our way of sharing back our appreciation and our gratitude and keeping our center alive and active. And if you would all read with me our offertory affirmation on the screen. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply, and it symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
There is a light within me. There is a light within me. There is a light within me. Illuminate me, illuminate me. There is a love within me. There is a love within me. There is a love within me. Illuminate me, illuminate me. There is a joy within me. There is a joy within me. There is a joy within me. Illuminate me, illuminate me. There is a peace within me. There is a peace within me. There is a peace within me. Illuminate me, illuminate me.
Today you participated in an act of giving, and now may you openly accept the gifts of reciprocity. We know that Spirit's gems and jewels grace your life in every imaginable way, form, and deed. We give thanks. Is there anyone here new for the very first time? If you want to raise your hand. Anyone new for the first time? We just want to send you lots of love. Everybody, let's give some love. We so appreciate you being back here today, and we hope you do come back again. And we'd like to thank all of our volunteers that have helped us this week, and all the gifts that you share to our center. In this group of volunteers, we have practitioners, and our practitioners serving today are Rick Dell, Paula Manis, and Bonnie Chartney, and they're going to be available in the back of the room for prayer. And you know, we're big on prayer, so please go get yourself prayed up, okay? And now we're going to do some announcements.
Give it drum roll, come on.
I'm not coming all the way up, I'm gonna do it from here. All right. That's like I dropped something. First of all, I want to welcome a very special guest, and that is Reverend Sunshine Day. Would you stand? Reverend Sunshine is a regional support coordinator, which is a kind of a clunky title for somebody really important who supports many, like way too many centers in this region. And she's here to support us today, so thank you so much. Now, if you've joined us for the first time today, typically we would have a visitor's book where you could fill it out, and we would add you to our mailing list, but we forgot. So if you email office@CSLCV, that's Center for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley, the first letters, CSLCV.org, and you email your information, we'll get it, and so we'll add you to our newsletter. Conscious Connections, which is a wonderful group that processes what they heard this morning. They'll be meeting in the lobby right here doors at 12 noon. And in this shared space, lots of things are changing. And so one of the things that's changing is that rather than potluck, first Sunday potluck every week, we're going to invite our members, our attenders, to feed our community. And so we're going to divvy up the alphabet. And of course, today's the first Sunday, and so A through C, people with the last name that starts with A through C would have brought trees. But we're starting with the second group of people next week. So if your last name begins with D through L, second week will be your turn to bring fruit or vegetable platter or pastry, some snacks that you can feed our community. And we'll have in the newsletter, we'll put up the list of what letters for what weeks, and we'll keep it the same as much as we can with the Soul Journey do-si-do that we have to do. But we'll try so that you know that it's your opportunity to really support our community in that way. So thank you. And I want to just thank Tony and Kathy, who is doing our hospitality. Chance to give back to our community and to Kathy and Tony.
Yeah.
Class and small group meetings are at our new San Juan location. There's some postcards in the back by the magazines that you're going to want to buy with our addresses, so you want to check that out. Mondays with Mary meets on Zoom at 11 a.m. It goes to 12:30, and it's a book study. We also have yoga on Monday nights in our San Juan Center, and also on Tuesday morning with Mike Ward. It's a very intimate space, and thank you, Mike, for that. Shifting Sands meets on Thursday from 10:30 to 12:30 in our San Juan space. And then on Zoom on Fridays, Joyce Fournier, who many of you know, even though she lives on the East Coast, she still facilitates Awakening to Spirit, coming home on Friday mornings at 8 a.m. And then those of you who attended Soul Journey last week, note that, as I said, June 8th will be the next Soul Journey experience, which has a different start time, so keep that in mind. Now, all details are in a little flyer. And this table has a lot of responsibility. It's next to the couch. It has the flyers. It has the magazines. It has little postcards with addresses, all of that stuff. And if you're lost, just ask somebody next to you, and I'm sure you'll find your way to wherever you need to be throughout the week or on Sundays. We look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at 10 for meditation and 10:30 for our celebration. And so it's time for the songbirds to come on up. And it's time to recognize, because it's the first Sunday of the month, birthdays. So anybody with a May birthday.
May birthday, stand up. We want to sing to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, happy birthday. Oh, now it's time for all of us to stand
Services.